Hello and welcome to the Sprinter Van Build series. Today in chapter 10, we will be covering wall panels. This is a really easy chapter, but let's get going. When I did my van build, one of the things that I wanted to do was make a seamless wall structure, something that was very easy to clean, something that was very pliable, something that was very durable and relatively inexpensive. In my van build, we did select two different type of wall covering materials that I used. And here we have this white vinyl PVC product, which we'll talk about in a second. And as we talked previously, this is another PVC material. And then again, the roof was another PVC material. Below this line here, where you don't see it, I chose cabinet grade 7-ply, half-inch plywood. And we'll get into the reasons that we did that. So as I mentioned earlier, my choice of product is a product called Komatex. And as I had stated earlier as well in the bathroom series, if you click on this QR code, this will take you to the Komatex website. But Komatex is a PVC material that is extremely lightweight, waterproof, weather resistant, they call it, but it's really an interior exterior PVC material. And they really have they have multiple types, but the two types that I really like is the Komatex, which is a glossier, harder finish, and then the Komatex, which is what I used. If I knew about the Komatex, I probably would have used a Komatex product in the bathroom because, like I said, it's a higher, glossier finish, a harder finish as well. But I wouldn't have wanted gloss inside the walls of my van. And the other great advantage is they have all these different colors available and also in different thicknesses and different size sheets. So as I mentioned, if you hadn't seen my video on the bathroom tutorial, I would highly recommend going back to that because you can see how we work with this material in terms of drilling, screwing, and really fastening the material together and bonding it. But in the wall applications, it's really simple. I did choose the Komatex and I went with the white color for my project on the upper portions of the wall. And then on the lower portions of the wall, as I mentioned, I went with half-inch cabinet grade plywood. This is a 7-ply plywood. What you need to do is make a template that goes over the wheel well. And then you have two areas here that need to be cut out, and we'll get into that in a second. This one here is for the door holder, and this here is for just looks like it's a structural fastening plate that's on the back of the van. You will have to go into your van, get a template, cut it out. And then I just painted mine with a primer and then a gray paint that was going to be my standard color for wood painting in the van that I went with. This is half-inch 7-ply cabinet grade plywood. I wanted something that was high quality, heavy duty. I had the advantage of having my templates traceable. My van was covered in a very inexpensive plastic wall material. So I was able just to take that out and then transfer that onto this board and then cut them to size. So you'll definitely need to make a template for yours. I wanted to make sure that I put plywood on the lower portion all the way around my van because I knew that I was going to be screwing different wire holdings to it, electrical boxes, a lot of tie downs and things like that to the material. And I knew the plastic material was not as durable. in the garage section of my van, I thought it was real important to have this on the walls because you'll see I have ladders back there. I have all my tools, my bags of items that I just carry around in the event that I got to do some maintenance on my van. So this is just a much more durable product for me. So as I mentioned, you had to just draw your templates out, cut your holes. This here opening is for the back door bracket holder. So my van doors have the ability to open all the way out, and there's magnetic latches. So you can disconnect that, but this is where that hole is to receive the door support. And this is just another support bracket in the van. So you've got to cut those out, and you can see this is where it's at. Apologize for the blurry video. But as you can see, I kept it halfway down because I also wanted to have the ability to screw in my plastic PVC wall panels to this material as well. So, but these are the two areas that you needed to cut out to be able to receive this in. So as I mentioned, my van door has the ability to open all the way out. And here you'll see this is the whole cutout, but there is a bracket that slides along this rail that would prevent the door from swinging all the way open. So that's what that hole is. And this black bracket is just a brace that's for the van, and you needed to be able to do that. As we talked earlier, when I talked about the wall preparation, I also had T-nuts in this wall because that's how these panels are screwed to my van. Is I did use bolts. So I had a T-nut that we inserted into the metal frame and then used a 1/4-20 bolt to bolt it in there because I wanted to be able to have something that was solid enough to hold my battery frame. This battery frame is extremely heavy. I wanted to make sure in the event that I had a rollover, which we never want to plan for, but I do not want this heavy piece of equipment flying around in my van in the event of an accident. So I did everything I could to make sure that this is bolted to the frame of the truck wall and to the floor. And we'll get into this section later, but that's the purpose that I went with a plywood base. As I mentioned too, here is where I have my Komatex material coming down, meeting that area. But as I said, I wanted both a plywood base and a PVC wall material that was easy to maintain. I have a 170-inch wheelbase Sprinter van. This is a standard 8-foot sheet. So as you can tell, a standard 8-foot sheet is not going to work in my van, but this will work on the driver's side of the van. So I ordered this in an 8-foot sheet and a 10-foot sheet because I wanted one continuous sheet. This also does have an R value, but it's insignificant, but it does help me again seal it as a continuous piece in the wall. As I mentioned, this is the 10-foot piece that I did, and we'll talk about what I do with the seam up here later, but I do have the cabinets going to be bolting down from all of these nuts, and then they will also secure against into this wall. And then here you'll see this is where I have my main electrical area. I have 3 electrical sections within my van, but then I just cut a hole into this and then had all this material run out. All my wirings run out of the PVC Komatex product. Again, it's a great product to work with. This is the electrical raceway that I mentioned. So this is how I sort of finish off the top. But as you can see, as I mentioned, this is my framing for my cabinet. It's really just an L structure frame. And then behind it, this is the white Komatex material that acts as the back of the cabinet as well. And like I said, I wanted something that was chemical resistant, something that I could wipe down, and later on, if I ever chose to, I could paint it if it need be. And then this here is the driver's side over the kitchen area, and we'll talk about this later too, but this is my secondary electrical panel. I have 2 electrical panels in my van in the event that I wanted to run additional wiring later on. The great thing about the Komatex is, as I stated, if you remember, I put this wooden frame around the window when I did this window install. And the great thing about the Komatex product is it is routable as well. So I just take my battery operated router and I'm able to put a nice finished edge all the way around my windows and just making a nice finished product. So the other thing that's important to note, I did make a mistake in this area. You can see this cut area. And the reason that is I did not screw this to the frame yet. And because that I did not pull it in. The other great thing about this product, it is flexible. So even in this area, because vans are not square, this area of the frame here, this wall pushed out about a 1/4 inch more than this side. So with this, once I screw this in, the material pulls in and then I was able to rerouter it. And then this is what it looked like afterwards. So my fastening is really just between, so I put my fasteners, these are marine snaps for my curtains. And then all I did is I took my trim router and trimmed it up and it's nice and clean. So as I said, the great thing about this product is it's easily washable. It is paintable. If you scratch it, you could fill it and then paint it, whatever you want to do, but it's also easy to replace these panels. So in the kitchen area, the other thing I told you guys when we talked about the preparation for the walls, behind here is a 2x4. So we want, as I mentioned earlier, I want to run my plywood on the bottom, my Komatex on the top, as you can see here. And then the Komatex is then screwed into the metal and the plywood is screwed into the metal. And the reason, again, I did this, as you'll see in a second, is I'm really trying to prep for my electrical boxes. And I'll show you that in the next slide. But again, here you can see this is the Komatex, one piece here. The great thing about the Komatex is it's also, you can, as I mentioned, paint it, but this is what I put my backsplash material on against it. And this stuff just looks super clean. It went right behind the B-pillar plastic molding here as well. Because I have the 2x4 behind it, this is going to get covered with a adhesive tile, mosaic tile pattern. That's where I also adhered it. And underneath the kitchen cabinets behind here, you'll see this is the plywood. I painted that gray. This is the Komatex. And then the Komatex is screwed also into the metal side of the truck. This is what I did with peel and stick tiles. And this is a special tile that's got a foil. It's a heat resistant material. So if I put my coffee maker or my stovetop on here, it's a great product for a van. And it looks great. And as I mentioned here, the other reason is I wanted the wood because here I run a 110 outlet that runs to my 4,000 watt inverter. And then I also want to bolt on my fire extinguisher. So I want to have the ability to have something that's a lot heavier, in a 7-ply commercial cabinet grade plywood is what I chose for the lower sections. And that's why I did that. So as I said, I have 2 different walling materials. This stuff is super simple to work with. I'll put a couple links in there, but there's not much to tell you other than the company that I used. And when you go to their website, they'll tell you where your local dealers are at. I'm fortunate enough, because I live on the East Coast, that my dealer, who's Harbor Sales, actually sold this product and will cut it to whatever size that you want it. And if you do have a drawing of your van, they'll actually have a CNC machine and they can cut out whatever you need. So we'll get into them, but Harbor Sales is the company that I bought my product from. So that was it. It's pretty basic. I love the product, as I mentioned before. Go take a look at the Komatex website. Please, any questions, any comments, list them below and I will get back to you. Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier too, we do have a series of 22 videos and they're all linked in the description. So as I roll them out, I will update each one of them so you can just check back and forth and see what else we talk about during our build. But thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel, and we will talk to you later.